And I have something I'd like to share with you. It's a methodology. It's a methodology to determine what kind of carry handgun is best for you. And I mean best for you, and that's the methodology. Is it the revolver on the left or the semi on the right here? By the way, safety checked. Okay. And they're just going to be my props here. Now, I've gone through about 5 years of being unable to decide what's best for me. And I have now developed what I think is a good methodology that you can apply to yourself. And why did I struggle? Well, I started out with a revolver. It actually happened to be an S&W. This is a Ruger LCR 327. And then I got concerned about capacity, so I bought an LC9S, just like this one. And then after a while I got concerned about simplicity and reliability, so I went back to carrying this, or it was an LCR, it was a 38P at the time. Then I got concerned about capacity, one of these. And now I went out and bought this, but I didn't trade this in. I kept both pistols. And I just want to go over what the methodology is for me. And I'm not saying my answer is your answer. I am saying I think you should look at the methodology. And the methodology that is not generally approached in all those videos that talk about revolver or semi is, they don't talk about the threat. They talk about the features. They say, revolver is simpler and more reliable, and I agree. A semi is more greater capacity and quicker for reload, absolutely. And normally at the end of those YouTube videos, the guy says, "Well, at the end of the day, you got to use the gun that's comfortable for you." Well, that's true. There's some things that those videos overlook, and primarily it's the threat. What is the threat that you're trying to defend from? For me, I've identified 4 threats, and I bet you might also identify with some of these. Number 1, I'm in a house all night, the threat of home invasion. Number 2, I call it the threat of rapid encroachment. I don't know if that's a good title, but that means that you're walking across a parking lot at night, or you're walking down a sidewalk, or you're in a building, and suddenly somebody comes at you who wants something from you, and not a good thing. Threat of encroachment. That's the second threat. The third threat I call wrong place, wrong time bystander, meaning you've gone into a convenience store, you've gone grocery shopping, and there's somebody in there that's robbing. They're not trying to hurt you or even hurt people in general. They want something like money. That's sort of the trademark of that scenario. And you happen to be in there and you're carrying. And then the fourth item I'll just call active shooter and terrorist. And they are after carnage. Now, there are all kinds of different scenarios for that, but the scenario I'm using in my head is I'm in a building somewhere and I start hearing shots, and it turns out to be either an active shooter or some kind of a terrorist attack. So that's the fourth threat. So you look at those 4 threats: home invasion, sudden encroachment, wrong place, wrong time, and active shooter / terrorist, and then you ask, okay, what is the key thing I need from my gun in each of those? And I'm going to start with the second one. In a sudden encroachment, you want to be able to draw and fire rapidly if the situation calls for it. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm simply saying if the situation calls for it, somebody's approaching you in a parking lot with ill attempt, and you can see that they're coming at you with a knife or a gun or whatever. Or there was a case here a year or so ago where people were walking in. I think they were walking into a Walmart. I may have this backwards, either walking in or walking out, one or the other. And somebody was walking through the sort of the entranceway stabbing people. And you see something like that, you only have a second to react. Okay, for that, you need a gun that you can pull and shoot immediately. And of these 2 guns, the revolver is the better of the 2 because there's no manual safety. And you still have the personal safety of a substantial trigger pull. No manual safety, substantial trigger pull. Now, the LC9S has a manual safety. If you forget to take that off, you're in trouble. But also, they sell something called the LC9S Pro, and it's the same gun, same trigger, but there's no manual safety on it. Well, you have this, in semis, you have these real light trigger pulls, and that's to help you with accuracy when you're shooting. But the problem with that is that it has to increase at least. It has to increase negligent discharges and accidental discharges. You know, your finger's vibrating, and it has to increase it. So I like the fact, because I would never want to shoot anybody. I'd rather kill myself on the spot than shoot an innocent person. I like the fact that this trigger pull is substantial, because that's a safety item. And that means I can carry this gun with confidence, and in a sudden encroachment situation, somebody's coming on to me suddenly, if my mind works the numbers and says, I need to take this guy out, this is the gun you want. Ain't no doubt about it. It ain't no doubt about it. This is the gun you want. You pull and you start shooting. You don't have to worry about a thing. You don't have to worry about racking, or if it's racked, you don't have to worry about the manual safety. And again, you're still safe because of that. So that's that particular scenario, the encroachment scenario. It says nothing about the other scenarios, but the encroachment scenario says most definitely ain't no doubt about it. If you're a woman and you're leaving work at night, right, and you've got your pocketbook with you, walking through the parking lot, you want to be able to deal with a sudden encroachment situation. Okay, let's look at the other ones. The wrong time, wrong place one. That's where you go into the grocery store. Is being able to pull your gun out and shoot immediately the number one thing you need there? I don't think so. I don't think that needs to be number one. It's nice, but I don't think it needs to be number one. In that case, I want capacity. I want reload. In an active shooter situation or terrorist situation, this may be the best one if, say, they start shooting right next to you, right? Or if you're sort of in a back room somewhere, then I want capacity. So it depends on which model you're using for that particular threat. And for home invasion, you generally, I guess there's all kinds of different scenarios, but you generally get a little bit of notice, even if it's just a few seconds. Bang, bang, bang at the door. Bang as in banging on the door, crashing the door in. In that case, I want some capacity, because especially the home invasions, they can come 3 and 4 and 5 people at a time. You want to just be able to, if you don't have kids in the house and you don't have houses right next to you, depending on the circumstance, you want to be able to spray that living room and just, get those guys' attention and get them out. And with a revolver, this is a 6-shot. Most of them are 5-shot that are carry revolvers. You don't have a luxury of shooting extra bullets. I mean, you don't, because there's no time to reload. So, in the scenario of a home invasion, I think I want this one right here. And I've had a real life home invasion before I carried, and I had what I thought was a home invasion after I carried. And I'm very confident that I will remember in that particular scenario to take the safety off. So, you have different scenarios, and in some scenarios, rapid engagement, you really want to be able to just aim and shoot, pull and shoot, not even barely aim, just sort of your body just instinctively aims. Whereas in the other ones, you want the capacity. Okay, so what does that mean? That means there is no one gun for me, and I'm talking about me now. There is no one gun for me that will cover all those 4 threats. And if you happen to have the same 4 threats, then there's no gun that is going to universally cover it for you. And that's why for the period of 5 years, I was going back and forth from this gun to 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 back and forth, trying to figure out what is the best gun for me. It turns out both guns are best for me. And now let me go over how I decide which gun I'm going to carry. If I'm more concerned about sudden encroachment, then this is the gun I carry. If I'm going out to the store, going to be walking through parking lot or whatever, this is the one I want. I want to be able to just, if I had to, quickly aim and shoot. I don't want to do that, but if I had to, I want to be able to do it. If I'm going into some place that's got, a lot of people or a lot of potential for, some kind of a either wrong place, wrong time, or active shooter kind of thing, then I generally want this kind of gun with me. I want this kind of gun because it has great capacity, and I can reload very easily, at least. So I carry two guns now, not at the same time, but there are, in other words, if I need this gun for where I'm going or what I'm doing, I take this with me. If this is the better suited gun, I'm going to take that. Now, let's say I'm going on some trip and I'm going to be walking through a long, long parking lot, dark at night, and then I'm going into a crowded area, assuming it's legal to carry there. Then I might take both, and I might have this in my holster and this in my ankle holster. That's happened on rare occasions for me. So anyhow, that's the methodology. The bottom line of the methodology is think about what the threats are, and then think what kind of gun works best for those particular threats. And if you're able to just whittle it down to one gun, my hat's off to you, but I don't see any way to do it in your average American, like I consider myself average, at least in the way that I live, living in a home, going out to the store, just those typical things that you do day to day. And that's the category I consider myself in. So that's why sometimes I'm going to be using this, sometimes I'm going to be using this, and on pretty rare occasions I'll be using them both. I hope this helps you. By the way, and this is important too, the threat also determines how you carry. If, for example, you carry a pocketbook, and you are concerned about sudden encroachment, you're going across a parking lot, you're coming out of school, you're closing up a business at night, then this is the kind of gun you want in your pocketbook, because you can shoot right through the pocketbook. If you buy one of those pocketbooks that have the special sleeves in them, they're just for guns, then it's beautiful. You can just slip your hand in and shoot. Whereas if you shoot with this in a pocketbook, or if you shoot like with this in a coat pocket, this slide can come back and it'll rip your hand like crazy. So in the middle of this threat to your life, your hands get injured. So that's why for sudden encroachment, this is the only way to go, in my opinion. Again, my name is Alabama Guy, and I hope this helps, because it certainly has helped me, and I hope 5 years from now I don't have to come back and report that I've switched, because I own both of them now and I intend to keep both of them. Incidentally, LCR 327, 6-shot, I love it. LC9S, wow, what a great semi-carry gun. Take care, bye-bye.